Something on your mind again? Let's work through it together. 2 heads are better than 1. If you're not sure what to do next, how about I take you on a walk?
A ver. Me escucho. A ver. Creo que sí, me escuchan muy bien. ¿Me escuchan bien o le subo un poquito más al micro? Buenas, amor. Hola, Yue. Amor, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal te encuentras? Bueno, bien. Bien, bueno. Hola chicos y chicas de YouTube, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Yo soy Máximo00 y estamos aquí en Genshin Impact Acto 5, parte 2. Vaya, en menos de... bueno, en 2 días, 2 directos. Desde hace ya rato que no se veía esto. Pero, bueno, no me queda nada más que decir, más que vayamos a continuar. Si mal no recuerdo, nos quedamos en que íbamos a hacer el plan para que Focalors hable. Nos podemos venir aquí rápidamente. El espina de Rosula, para ver cuál es el plan. Que el señor Falcon me metió algo de miedo con respecto a esto. Que dijo que era larguísimo esa chingadera. Y a ver. Bien, ¿y tú? Bien. Nada más que mañana tengo hueva. Por el viaje de mañana. 3 horas de viaje. De ida y de venida. Qué hueva. O 2, no sé. Me dijeron que iban a ser 2. Ah, lol. ¿Dónde está? Que tuve que cambiar esta chingadera. Por el bien de mi control. A ver. Aquí donde Navia suele estar. Vamos a ver. F por ti. Sí, lamentablemente. Y tú, como siempre, nunca sales. Nunca. Lo bueno es que aquí estoy comiendo semillas.
Hyman didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Hyman thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Hyman thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. Well, it's hard to say. Hyman
Espero tú ya hayas cenado, Yue.
But with you around, Hyman sure will do great.
Claro, porque yo soy la protagonista.
After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Huh? Did you just pour some tea? Hyman didn't notice you doing that at all.
Es el día de hacer sentir mal a mal. Déjenme traer mi sombrero y mi smoking. ¿De qué hablas, Sebas? ¿Cómo estás? Hello there, ¿cómo te encuentras? Hola, Yue. Hola, Falcon, ¿qué tal? Ni me saludas, perro. Ah, está. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo se encuentran, chicos? Falcon, justo que contigo quería hablar. Quería comentarte dos cosas. Una de ellas es... ¿cuáles son los banners que se vienen la próxima semana? De Genshin. Y la otra es sobre una teoría que tengo de lo del Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Hola Falcon, hola Seba. ¿Qué tal, chicos? ¿Cómo los trata la vida? No creo acabar hoy, pero mañana sí, o pasado mañana.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here.
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Who the hell are you?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
¿No fuese la voz que escuchamos al final de la historia de Ben? Del que trae el sombrerito.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. Though, not completely wrong.
Hola, Yui Falcon. ¿Cuándo comienzas tus comisiones de melucinas? Seas mamón, güey. Pero, si me pagaran por dibujarlo, pues no podría decir que no.
You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to you. Guiding people is an irresistible hobby of mine, after all.
Falcon, me cae que tú eres uno de esos que me va a pedir un dibujo de melucina.
Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
Ah, bueno. Toma mi pinche dinero y dibuja. No voy a dibujar una melucina. Tú las acabas de ver ahí la otra vez, tú, Yue. Prefiero mi más tío Yaemiko. ¿Tío Yaemiko? ¿Un Yaemiko hombre o cómo?
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? Ah, so you've caught on.
Yo cuando hablé contigo pensé que me dirías pensé que me habías dicho una show, ¿no, güey? Pues mala más o menos, me mataron a 96% de recuperación del cambio dragón y me dieron una paliza como Freezer. A ver qué tan mal me va ahora. No entendí nada, pero entiendo que es de Breakers, ¿verdad, güey?
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods. Could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall?
Algún día haré directo de Breakers. Yo creo que la próxima semana.
Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kind of scary.
Maxi es mantener a Yue así, que dibuja melucinas en bikini. ¿Quién, güey? Yo no dibujo melucinas en bikini.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things
Siempre
are
acusándome.
insignificant, but others you must reach out to change.
Eso es lo que dijo Balón. Que no. Yo no dibujo melucinas en bikini, mentirosos. ¿De qué hablan?
Ultimately,
A ver.
fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
No voy a mentir.
All you need to do is to play your part.
Yo dibujé una furra en bikini. Falcon la veo y es un dibujo que les ayude. Lo tengo ahí subido en mi canal, pero está en no listado. O en privado,
This
no me
was
acuerdo.
good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice.
Pues no entendí. ¿Con quién?
Huh?
¿Yo tengo casa?
Someone talking. All right, coming. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Luna!
Te pago y dibujas a mi guagua nueva. De hecho ya te había dicho que te leo a dibujar. A tu OC nuevo.
Fine, just fine. I went to take part
Acuérdate.
in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected. Not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Creída. Me caes mal.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. You remember her, right? That
Eh.
daredevil journalist.
Con Charlo no te metas, pendeja. Tener un culo criminal no te hace... No te hace... ¿Cómo decirlo? No te da derecho a hablar mal de ella. Debes descargar una actualización de Genshin de PS4. No entendí. ¿Dónde está? ¿Cómo la descargo? Bueno, quiero saber cómo. Pero Falcon, dame mi respuesta. ¿Qué banners vienen? Postdata, ya vengo. Voy a poner la gota para el ojo. Dale, amor, no pasa nada. Mucha suerte con ello. Se busca en la store como un DLC. Ok, pero Falcon, ¿qué banners vienen?
I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Subí un video. ¡Hala! Falcon haciendo spam.
Ah, yes.
Denúncielo. Es más,
About what we had discussed before.
borren su comentario. No, no es
I
cierto.
did
No, no.
try, but I'm afraid I couldn't
¿Sí lo
reach
vi?
the old hag.
Bueno, no lo he visto.
I'll try again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Huh?
La bruja N.
Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost.
Navia, Ayaka y luego Raiden y Yoimiya. Sí, güey, pero ocupo que me digas qué personajes vienen ahí. O no se han revelado. Porque me interesa saber en qué banner vendrá Kirara. Bueno, creo que Kirara acaba de venir, así que vale madre.
But I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... Well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Me pregunto, ¿dónde está la madre de Cliff?
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But they must really stay in shape to live so long.
No se sabe. Ah, el domingo se sabrá. O el lunes.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Pues claro. Fontaine se va a ir a la verga, se va a inundar. Pinche maremoto. Raiden vendrá Sara y Chevesure.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic,
Ah,
but I
la
suspect
cuatro
she
estrellas de
means that
pito.
there's still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now.
Ya. ¿Cómo te fue, Yue? ¿Todo bien? Nunca.
Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
No. Tengo hambre.
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming, you know?
No es del mundo. De Fontaine. Me arde. ¿Te arde mucho?
I see. I
No
feel
forces la
that
vista.
same sense of desperation too.
Si ocupas descansar, ve y descansa.
I guess you could
De aquí no
consider
nos
me
vamos, te lo
someone
aseguro.
who has often witnessed fate.
Hasta la 1.
So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for and believe in miracles. Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel.
¿Acaso
But
ya
it can
tienes
also be
conjuntivitis?
beautiful.
No, Falcon, no le eches la sala, güey. De que tiene esa madre. Leve. ¿Qué? Es como una infección del ojo, la conjuntivitis. Te sale así como una chingaderita amarilla. No sé si sean lagañas o pus, no sé.
Perhaps that's what N was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone.
Sí, lo sé, pero no es eso. A mí me dijo Joey que podía ser una alergia. Pero como yo no la he visto, no estoy seguro.
This, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work-related stuff. Oh, it was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
No me caes bien, Mona.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said, but also kind of sad too.
Yo es alérgica a Maxi. Cállese, Falcon. Es alérgico a los otakus fan de melucinas. Lo hace usted. Cállese, Falcon. Mentira. Llevo 3 años con ella para que digas que es alérgica a mí.
Hey, traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like going outside for a walk. Let's go.
Mamón, el Falcon.
Let's walk around
Le
the
encanta
city,
molestarme.
shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by.
Al Gyoko. Pero hey, ¿dónde está el plan para que Furina escupa la sopa? Yo opté porque la secuestráramos y la asustáramos o la extorsionemos. Si hay que extorsionarla, ¿por qué no? Eso debe funcionar.
Over here.
Me estás chingando.
Lynette's not joining us?
I've had her follow. Still. Today will be when Caesar before long. I had to
Lárgate.
pull.
No puedo creer que haya pasado justo por el lugar donde está esta maldita misión. Coño, tío, es triste. No me lo puedo creer. Justo por donde él está pasé, ¿saben? Maldita misión. Igualita que la de Nilou. Acosadora.
Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper.
Ey,
What's going on?
me acaba de pasar la desgracia, no. Algo gracioso. Una vez un Majin Buu me estaba campeando y me dejó morir. Y cuando ese me lo habían acorralado, se desconectó el infeliz. Hijo de puta. Te salta los textos igual que yo. No, es que es la misión de línea y a mí que me interesa eso. No menciones, Maxi, no menciones el tiempo. Recuerda, prácticamente puede ser su padre. Que no, Falcon. Yo soy virgen, yo no soy su padre. Loco.
Let Paimon see!
No por mucho.
The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that. Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report? A blonde adventurer with their white fairy legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress.
¿Que yo qué?
So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades. Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead?
No olviden de dejar su me gusta, chicos. Si le dan me gusta, les ofrezco una semilla. Aunque ya casi no me quedan. ¿Ya cenaron? Cenen. Luego hace daño.
Seriously?
Salen células cancerosas, úlceras, que digo.
Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time.
Pero tampoco traen como marranas. ¿Qué? ¿Qué? ¡Linnea! ¡Me cago en ti, Linnea!
Let's move out.
Me cago en ti, güey. Neta, justo tengo que entrar aquí. Yo no sé, no, otra vez y viendo. Puta madre, yo queriendo ver qué hice, pero mi ojo no ayuda. Tranquila. Te digo que no fuerce la vista. Y lo peor es que era nivel 91, genial. Ahora ya no puedo escuchar, gracias, amor. Perdón, pues es que como no me voy a enojar. O sea, hace lo mismo que Nilo me está haciendo, Dios mío. Si no me crees, revísate los directos de Sumero y vas a ver, hace lo mismo.
You neglected to mention that you were bringing 2 other...
My apologies.
Fuera.
Forget the pleasantries, just sit.
Es la nueva Nilo.
I only
Exacto.
agreed...
Much obliged.
Horrible,
Yesterday morning, I
hermano.
had to get to the bottom of this to ensure.
What is there to investigate? Caesar was...
Please, sir.
Possibility. The weasel
A ese paso
is
lo voy a poner.
dead.
Historia de Sumero y de Linnea,
Everyone
güey.
knows
Oh, my pride.
your pride.
I
La
want
historia
to
de cómo
find
Linnea
out.
acabó con mi salud mental.
Uh-oh. This is...
Renzo? Is that?
Another day.
Vaya, discusión entre
If I
randoms.
wanted your life...
Sorry, my good sir. I don't believe I.
Oh, this is
Un tal Edmundo
and he wonders why
y un
he
tal
can't get a
Lorenzo.
girlfriend, despite being...
Shut up and get out of my face. Another word out of...
Y agresivo el cabrón todavía.
I think it's high time I made a move as well.
Gracias.
If you really want to investigate
Pero
this,
vete,
Lenny,
güey.
be my guest.
No me deja. Estoy picando al X. Sí,
But if nothing good comes of it, don't say I
estoy
didn't
comiendo.
warn you.
De hecho le dije, no gustan semillas. Ya ves, Yue, no me escuchas.
Well, that fell to pieces, and
Totally. He's gotta be...
I think so too. That guy Edmondo seems to know.
Listo. ¿Ya me dejas? ¿Qué ocupo? Lugar ocupado. No me lo creo, tío. Pues cómo no después del grito. Eso lo dije antes del grito. Perdonen. De hecho me tapé las manos y grité Linnea. De por sí no me gustaba el mono. Lo voy a acabar odiando. Pero si no escuchas cómo me escuchaste comer. Pero ¿por qué no me deja? No manches. Si es acá afuera, pues entonces ¿por qué no estorba? O sea, si el lugar está ocupado y es este, no estorba allá adentro, no me jodas. Juego delicado. El mago en pantimedias. Lo odio, güey. Lo voy a acabar odiando.
You okay there?
El mundo.
Oh, it's...
Largo de aquí.
listen, wait.
So, he was...
Hey, 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 don't go prying.
What kind of bat?
Don't even... And that's not a...
And there he goes.
¿Qué tal si nos vamos mejor a la misión principal?
Don't say anything and don't look back.
Sí. Fíjense. Sí, ahí está. Bien.
We're here! Paimon's hungry. Should we go in and get something to eat?
Ah, vaya. A ver, comparta, muchacho. Dejar si te la puedo dar a través de la pantalla. No, no me deja. Ni modo. Perdóneme usted, señorita. What the fuck? Ay, güey, solo espero y no le pase nada a tu hijito. Imagínate cómo te verías tuerta. Bonita. Pero usarías un parche. ¿Cuál?
So delicious the last time we tried it. Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go. Paimon's shirt.
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all. Oh, wait, you're the one
Ah,
from Palais
ya ves.
Maria.
Melusina de mierda, nos va a quitar el pastel.
Oh, are you here
Ah,
to
tiene
buy
alas.
cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalet was right. You really can eat.
No, si yo no quiero dibujar esa cosa, no me jodas. Me da miedo. Me da más miedo que de ella. Y de ella me da bastante miedo. Amor, ni lo diga. No, pues yo confío en que no. Pero qué asco.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Ustedes lo que comen son pollas en la rula 34. Asquerosas.
Usually every day.
Ay, qué asco. Es que fácil, eso entra en categoría de pedofilia y zoofilia, güey. Respéteme a mí. De ella y es sexy. ¿Tú recuerdas, güey? Que me daba miedo de ella. Yo le decía, me da miedo. Está muy alta. Yo lo hago. ¿Tú haces qué cosa, güey?
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Mhm.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow.
Uy.
You know, like in the prophecy.
¿Qué ejemplo das,
Oh,
Paimon?
the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No. Still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today.
¿En serio dibujarías una melusina? Esa cosa de traje azul verde con alitas. Eso lo hace mejor. Mira, pues, le gustan altotas al Sebas y rudas y que le peguen. Mi león ardiente del desierto. No te hagas, Falcon. La cambiaste por Nubilet, güey. Mendigo Falcon. No, qué asco. Melusinas.
No. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on. That's what people call living, you know.
Entonces justo ahora me tomaré una coca. Y si me da diabetes, pues ni modo. Porque tomarme la coca lo que yo hago es vivir. ¿No? Como dice la melusina. Me cae mejor por eso.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go?
Nos robó
These 2
otro.
slices are for you. Sichuan said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sichuan?
Ahora me cae mejor.
I sure do.
Por ahora.
She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us things about humans. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily, yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious
vamos a
food.
comprobar
So
eso.
please try the cakes here.
Llueve, cuando vaya a verte vamos a comprobar eso que dicen las melusinas. No existe el dinero. Y quien me vio, ese güey, la infeliz, no, pero me puse en modo Martín, este güey. No, la coca es medicina. Confirmo. Y una vez sentía asco, si me tomé una coca y se me fue el asco, güey, fíjate. No es broma. Barre.
I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
¿Pero qué quieres que te dé de comer yo, Yue? Yo solo sé hacer sándwich. Y...
And there she goes.
pizzas, creo.
All right, let's dig in. I'm unsure this cake will be delicious.
Está bien salada, semillas. Con ganas de un pastelito, un pan.
It's more delicious than even better with a sip of tea.
Con un café.
It sure would be nice if we could come again tomorrow. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food here.
¿Y qué onda? ¿Ustedes sienten el frío? Yo la verdad es que no. Si quiero cocinar, si me cocinas algo. ¿Pero qué quieres que te haga de comer? Exactamente. ¿O qué quieres que te haga de comer? Sal del bistro de Bord. ¿Tanta lata nomás para comer? Buah, escena de relleno, Dios mío. Malito Linney. ¿Saben qué es lo peor de todo? Si no hubiera pasado justo por esa parte, lo más probable es que Linney ni siquiera hubiera interferido en la historia. Ay, vale madre, Dios mío. Estoy bien salado, como mi saladita. Una papa rellena de queso y jamón. Ah, caray. Yo nunca he preparado papas rellenas, pero me gustaría probarlas. Aunque recuerdo que hace un año probé la lasaña.
Oh, we're near the Seabird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
A ver. No, Junkichi, tú no. ¿Dónde está Junkichi? Es acá. No, ¿dónde es? ¿Es esto? ¿Dónde es? No me revolví. Ah, sí es acá. Ve el pájaro de vapor. Pero ¿y el plan? Hola. Tan rica y también una lasaña.
Wow!
What?
If it isn't the traveler in Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Mejor te hago un sándwich y ya, ¿no? De jamón y queso.
Nerve! You just used us to make some quick mora.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Yo me acuerdo que Charlotte fue el primer personaje de Fontaine que se vio. Bueno, creo. Y yo cuando la vi dije, oye, está bien bonito su diseño.
Really?
Y ahora que la tengo ni siquiera la uso.
You're almost a little
Pero
too
está
easy to
chido.
win over,
Me gusta,
Paimon.
no sé,
If
la
I
combinación
were
de colores.
journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Me gustó su traje. Está chido.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
El juego tiene trajes chidos. Aunque
Still, what brings you here
sus
all of a
diseños son
sudden?
muy
You
complejos.
looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
Que está bien bonita, no, no es cierto.
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Que no
Nice.
sirves. Ah,
In
no.
which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary traveler in Paimon?
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Ok.
Yeah. Are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh. In that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Muy de relleno
Charlotte,
esto, ¿no?
Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow?
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow.
Pero me pregunto, ¿nadie se ha enterado de lo que pasó con Navia? A ver, eso es de... Pues de temer,
If you're
¿sabes?
seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake my homeland that easily. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end.
Maxi, dijo que regalaron un 5 estrellas promocional. Ah, vete a la verga. Y aquí en Gazing que les pesa los huevos de regalarnos 10 deseos, güey. No mames.
So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking.
That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy.
Y la comunidad chiste enfadada. No, güey, pues cómo no. Tratan bien mal al juego y luego ven. Mejor todo lo que me contaste de ese juego.
Just think about
Si es que, güey, la neta da rabia.
Really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person. The story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job.
Ay, perdonen.
And I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
Chicos, una duda, ¿qué harían ustedes si mañana se acabara el mundo?
So nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we?
Como que nos estamos preparando para la catástrofe. Como si hubiéramos aceptado nuestro destino. Bueno, yo no me voy a morir, o sea, a mí el agua esa me la pela, pero a los demás... Vaya. Qué gusto, que se está aquí disfrutando de la brisa marina y del paisaje. Qué puto Cristo. Que no dijo nada.
Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do?
No sé, a Narnia. ¿Por qué no a Narnia?
No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do?
Era una retirada estratégica. Vuelvo un momento. Dale, Sebas. Ay, puto cringe. Yo no sé hacer voz de mujer. Siento que es más difícil que un hombre haga una voz de mujer que una mujer haga voz de hombre.
We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot.
Pues yo aseguro una cosa, y es que en Tevat hay muchos lugares muy altos. Por ejemplo, Espinadragón, ese lugar está altísimo. Altísimo, esa boquita. ¿Qué dije? Por cierto, Falcon, te iba a comentar mi teoría. Y era que yo ya tengo una idea de quién podría ser el próximo personaje del DLC. Tal vez el misterioso. El que todos están rumoreando. Oh, ¿quién es?
You mean, still traveling?
Vaya, qué cara de enojo tiene Lumi, ¿no? Soy esa más bien. Maybe like.
Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing?
El día pasa volando mientras charlas con Paimon. Al caer la noche, vuelven a su alojamiento para dar el día por terminado. ¿A caray, yo dónde vivo? Falcon, ¿y si ese personaje misterioso fuera el payaso? ¿Belmode o cómo chingado se llama? Los días siguientes son muy tranquilos y Charlotte las entrevista en la base de Espinadir Rosula, en el río Ceniciento. Tras terminar lo que tenía que hacer en Pozón, Navia regresa a la sede y toma una imagen conjunta de ustedes. Todo parece ir bien. Pero todo cambió cuando la Nación del Fuego atacó. ¿Tú qué opinas, Falcón? Yo te voy a comentar por qué. Porque siento que es Belmode o Vermode, como se pronuncia. ¿Qué? Maremoto.
Feels like it'll grow mold if you stay here long enough.
No tienen ataques para hacer. Tampoco de Gohan Bestia tenían mucho que hacer, güey, ¿sabes? O de Fu. Es que, si tú te fijas, en la sala del Festival de los Universos, hay una estatua de Bills y una de Champa. Y es literal el modelo de ellos del Xenoverse. Y hay una de Vermode, güey, también. Y yo digo, ¿quién sabe? Nos pueden sacar la sorpresa. Me trajiste recuerdo que debemos de ver Avatar otra vez. ¿Tú quieres ver Avatar de nuevo, Yue?
But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
Cobra God, por cierto, Avatar.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Hola, random.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the Fortress of Meropide.
Pero primero veamos al Pochita. Ah, cierto. Yo ya estamos viendo Chainsaw Man. Bueno, ella ya lo vio, yo no. Y me está pareciendo bastante bueno. Bueno, nos vimos el primer cap y a mí me gustó mucho. Pobre Denji, la verdad.
Not
También
at
Excel
all.
Saga.
I'm well
God,
aware that
también.
you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him.
También estamos viendo el de Oshinoko. ¿Cómo se llama ese anime? El otro. ¿Qué ha ocurrido?
Yes, inside the opera house. The Marechaussee Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
Rebelión a pequeña escala.
A riot?
Riot.
Well, that said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Farina was watching a performance at the opera house, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis.
Pues sí, o sea, no hace nada, la inútil. Denji modo esclavo, sí es cierto, lo llamaron perro, maldita máquina.
And before she could respond, others started to join in.
Un simp. Bueno, ¿para qué me hago? Yo también soy bien simp. Y no diré de quién.
The crowd continued to
Porque
grow and protests against the
no
Hydro
quiero-
Archon started to break out.
Quiero conservar algo de mi dignidad, ¿saben? Yo me quiero unir a esa manifestación. Chingue su madre.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
Pues que no hace nada, nomás anda ahí de creída y de mimada y de malcriada y de, no sé, caprichosa. Sí, caprichosa, esa palabra buscaba. Yo sí sé. ¿Qué sabes tú? Yo sé, a ver. Tú no sabes nada. Tú solo eres una chica chiquita y viciosa.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
Pues es que ella literalmente puede ayudarnos, pero es que no hace nada. Tienen motivos para culparla. Bueno, ellos no conocen esos motivos, pero desde mi punto de vista los tienen. Por no querer ayudar. Guardé tu secreto de amor hacia las melocinas. ¡Que no! ¡No! ¡No!
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Pues claro que no. ¿Tú crees que sí?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry.
No soportó la presión
The
social.
Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Marechaussee has dispatched many people to search for her, but we don't have any leads yet.
¿Y por qué Nubilet no la detuvo? Muy buena pregunta, ¿sabes?
That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her?
Personas corrientes. No sé si lo mal pensé, Clasismo. Personas corrientes.
Monsieur Nervilla sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
Don't worry, this is more than enough
Bueno.
to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Yo soy bastante corriente, compro mi ropa en tianguis, ¿saben? Bueno, no. Amor, ay amor, tú cuando no mal piensas. Pues que personas corrientes y de por sí está muy de moda aquí el meme de lo de que son bien clasistas.
Is that
Y
so?
sí,
Well, all right then.
hace,
In that case, you two take care.
mira,
I'll be heading back to the palais now.
o sea, ve, qué posilga vivo. Estoy en una alcantarilla, ¿sabes? Esto es una alcantarilla. Vivo en donde hay agua con caca, ¿sabes? Me baño donde hay agua con caca, no puede ser. Esa de ella, pozón. Yo he de saldar la verdad cuando ve el peluche de Melusina con que duermes. ¿Yo o ella? A ella no la acuses, güey. Que estás mayor, sí, Falcon, pero no te da derecho. Te denunciaré por abuso infantil. ¿Cómo así, Falcon?
If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat.
Muy arconte y todo, pero no se atreve a enfrentar sus problemas. Solo huye de ellos, la desgracia.
When Nervalet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse.
Pero puede evitarlo y no hace nada. ¿Cómo si Falcón? ¿Yo? Ay, mamá. Yo tengo un rinoceronte.
Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's feeling. Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up, too. Cool. In that case, there's not a moment to lose. Poisson, here we come.
No dijo vayamos a Poisson, dijo Poisson, aquí vamos, Poisson. Eso me recordó una canción. ¿Cómo iba? Ay, me acuerdo que decía Pumson, Meki Pumson, algo así decía. Pinche canción. ¿Es esta? Uy, la profecía. Yo solo duermo con tu suéter y el mini Pumson. No, me acusó a mí el pinche Falcon de que yo duermo con una melucinada. No sé. Pero pinche mini Pumson. ¿Y en serio traes mi suéter ahorita puesto? Que para los que no sepan, yo tenía un suéter Jordan. Y me lo robó ella. Desgraciada. Nada, no es cierto. Ah, tengo que ir allá abajo. Hola, chavales. ¿Cómo se encuentran? ¿Cómo está, muchacho? Yo lo veo a ustedes muy bien. ¡Ay, no! ¡Es broma! ¡Era bait! Ven. Necesito eso. Sí, me calienta. ¿Quién, el suéter o yo? No. A ver, parkour. A ellos no les gusta el meme. Ambas. Me alegra saber eso. Si no, me voy a poner celoso del suéter. Hola.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of death at station.
Chale.
Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible.
Oye, ¿dónde está la parte de investigación? Ah, miren, ahí está. ¡Furrina! Cada palabra de Yue te incriminará más. ¿De qué habla, locos? Loco. Ay, verdad, está triste.
That's Farina, right over there. She really is here.
Cállate. ¿Qué hice?
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead.
No, le está llorando.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Déjate de pendejadas, Furina.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it.
¿Qué se pone?
Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Disturbing my enjoyment of the arts.
Me cago un montón este juego cuando hablan con palabras tan raras o de una manera tan como... Wow, hablo así para sonar inteligente y es como... No hagan eso, es horrible. Hablen normal, coño.
I must teach them a lesson. I I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Mushashos Phantom are freaking out right next to them too.
Qué risa, ¿no?
Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there!
Mátenla.
Quick, after her!
Sí, la quieren matar.
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they? That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up with her.
Cómo corren. Cómo corren los bots, vean. Velos. No manches. ¿Qué forma de correr es esa, loco? Pues así. Ganan millones de dólares, más de 30 millones de dólares por pinche banner para que pongan esa mierda de animación al correr, no manches. Así no veremos corriendo. No manches, yo no corro tan así. Creo, eso sí, no estoy seguro. Por cierto, Farina con la realidad distorsionada. Ándale, oye, sí es cierto. Se parece mucho al meme del Gohan. Que a ver, ¿qué iba a decir? Ah, sí. Mierda, se me olvidó. Ah, que sí es cierto que Genshin estuvo en racha de malas ventas. ¿Por cuánto, Falcon? Y dime, las ventas de ahora fueron malas. O sea, las ventas de este personaje de Farina fueron muy buenas, me acuerdo. Pero, ¿qué tal las de ahora? Las del banner que está ahorita, el de Sino y el de Ayato. Y me acuerdo que antes de ella empezó la mala racha, pero quiero que tú me recuerdes, Falcon, ¿cuándo fue y cuánto duró? Por favor.
What is this place?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Es que Farina es muy buen personaje, hace mucho daño. 3.6 hasta 4.1, madre mía. ¿Y esos cuántos meses son? Son 3.6 empezando desde qué banner, desde el de Nahida y Baisu, desde ese. Porque Nahida vino con Baisu o vino con Nilou. ¿Quién vino con quién? No me acuerdo. Mal pensé con el ruido. ¿Cuál ruido? ¿De qué hablas tú? Cochina.
I'm so tired. I totally thought they had caught me. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Ese. Baisu con Ganium. Desde ahí empezaron las malas ventas. Y eso fue en mayo, ¿no? Abril, mayo, más o menos. Abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre. O sea, hubo mala racha de ventas durante 7, casi 8 meses en Genshin. Pero al último banner, ¿cómo le fue el que está ahorita, Falcon?
You're right.
O sea, ventas de abajo de 10 millones, ¿no? O de 12. ¿De cuánto fueron las ventas?
Yep, that's a good girl.
Y unas malas, como de 5 millones, de 6, no me acuerdo. Oh. Vaya.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
Ah, no mames.
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this time.
¿Tan malo fue? Va regular. Sí, Sebas, porque haz de cuenta que ya podemos romper las piernas. ¿Quién, güey? ¿Farina? De hecho, ahorita la querían matar, güey. Pero al Genshin sí, hubieron 7 meses de malas ventas, güey. Desde abril de este año hasta que llegó Furina a inicios de noviembre. Furina creo que vendió... ¿Cuánto vendió? ¿30 millones? ¿Cuánto vendió su banner? 30 millones de dólares. Y yo decía que todo ese dinero para que pongan una mierda de animación al correr a los bots.
I hope you're right.
Que a ver, el juego también se ve muy bien, no voy a mentir, ¿saben?
But the people of Poisson, they...
Pero, ¿de qué charlamos? Quiero ver.
It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me.
Vaya, eres más lista de lo que creí.
I've tried all kinds of ways too to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time.
Me imaginaba más boba, siendo sincero.
We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free.
Bueno, más que lista, creo que lo que quise decir fue útil.
Indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives.
Bueno, fueron solo 10 personas. Y luego lo de los asesinos también.
Now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else.
Órale, a ver cómo recuperan lo perdido. Como por ejemplo vender de una puta vez en Xbox One y Series. Oye, sí es cierto. Llevando el Genshin a otras consolas, ¿no podrían vender aún más Falcon? Sí, ¿no? O sea, si llevándolo a Xbox One, yo creo que las ventas aumentarían un poco. Recuerda que no todo el mundo tiene Play y gran parte tiene Xbox.
As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late.
O a Switch incluso.
Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all.
Me cae mejor tu otra personalidad, la verdad.
Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
Dime.
A witness. Yes. I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here.
Exacto, soy un reptiliano, nada, no es cierto. Quise decir de una. Pregunta a Nintendo y recuerda que estaba anunciado. ¿Y eso desde hace cuánto, güey? Yue, ¿sigues ahí, Yue?
And if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
Ya. A ver. Se viene cinemático. A ver. Ay, no. Liney de mierda, ¿qué hiciste? ¿Ya ven? Ah, no, es la trampa. Es la trampa que íbamos a hacer. Ah, perro. Yo estoy con el dejo de ir preguntándole sobre ti. Hijo de tu madre. Mendigo, véalo. Sí, al fin eres útil. No, no es cierto. Bueno, 2 años y medio. A la mierda. Güey, cómo me caga que cuando que se ponen sentimentales que quieren ser diferentes de esa personalidad hincha pelotas. Es que sí, güey. O sea, desde que yo entré a Fontaine me cagó esa personalidad de Furina, güey. Así como de... soy tan magnífica. No, no es cierto. Que ya ves, pinche Falcon. También cuando hay tensión lo arruinan. No lo arruinaron, sino creo que esto era parte de lo que acordamos hacer para traer a Furina. Pero ya me iba a contar. Me hubieran dejado que me contara al menos.
Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
Falcon, ¿y la famosa investigación dónde está?
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am
la diosa de las
the
focas.
god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
Fue esa la razón por la que murió el papá de Navia. Se enfrentó a ella, aquí.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
¿Una pelea? ¿En serio? ¿Se rindió?
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an archon surrender to a human?
Chichota así de grande,
How utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice. This time, I will protect you.
Díselos.
Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then.
Who will be my opponent in this trial?
Yo merengues. Tendrá que terminar sí o sí. Ah, quiere el famoso investigación. Es como lo del Linney, ¿no? Cuando pasó lo del Linney, me imagino.
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Yo mero.
Is
I'll be your opponent.
so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
Estás en el punto sin retorno. Ah, no hay pedo. Apenas llevo 1 horita. Me quedo aquí hasta la 1. No hay pedo. Ah, ya le gané una vez en un juicio hace unos meses. ¿Quién dice que no puedo ganarle ahora?
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
Entonces esa chica decía que reservaba energía y por eso no hablaba, ¿verdad?
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Mucho texto.
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct a giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Te engañé.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight.
Ah, sí es una verduga.
Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Casi todos se están echando rosas, Dios mío.
As for you, Traveler, I
No,
suppose
Astrid,
your
no
role
Traveler.
was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh? Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance.
Pero es una verdura. No. Dije, ay, ¿cómo se llama? Clorín, la verduga. ¿Verduga? Sí, verduga, verguda, no es cierto.
It's fine.
Maldito Linney, lo cagó todo.
Let's stop the stage stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Oigan, ¿y Tartaglia? ¿Qué pasó con el pobre?
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Técnicamente se da falta porque tiene un par de merlones. ¿Quién? ¿Clorin? Estás mamón, güey.
Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte!
La saluda.
Oh, let
Le
Paimon
grita.
see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine!
Ah, caray.
So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
Yo siendo sincero, cuando llegué a Fontaine pensé que me iban a acusar de algo a mí.
The Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right.
Vean, este es lo que les hablé ahorita, lo de que pasó con Linnea al inicio, que yo me enfrenté a Furina en el juicio. Este es Basher. ¿Se acuerdan? Terminación de flotar a este güey. ¿Se acuerdan del tipo que les hablé, el que murió de un ataque al corazón? Fue este men. Aquí está lo de Tartaglia.
Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. A Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time.
¿Cómo? Ay, la caída del mar de Navia. Esto fue lo que pasó. Bueno, técnicamente es un resumen, por así decirlo, de todo lo que hemos hecho. Sí que me acuerdo. Esto lo vimos en... Ay, ¿en cuál directo fue? Fue en el directo final del acto 4, creo. Igual que esto. También esto. Esta ballena ya la veremos más adelante. Si no es en el directo de hoy, será en el de mañana. A ver. A ver, ¿pero te quieren decir?
According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both Child and that whale should...
¿Qué?
I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers.
Ok, volver. Vale. ¿Cómo esto me va a servir para ir en contra de Furina?
And the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Neuvillette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese.
Vas a valer madre, te voy a ganar.
Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this.
Tú eres la que trafica melucinas junto con Falcon y me acusan a mí, ¿verdad?
Of course. It is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
Maxi, la ballena será hoy. ¿Tú crees? No puedes dejar la misión. Nah, seas mamón, güey, no manches.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon.
¡Oh! La voz de Lumín. La habló la prota.
Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud, who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Espectadora, no nadado, dice. Dubitativa.
Try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted.
Rápido. ¿Qué pasa?
Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Dios mío, cómo habla esta chica. Sebas, Yue, siguen ahí. Bueno, Yue sigue ahí.
Yeah.
¿Pero y Sebas?
Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
Ay, Yue, se te quiere mucho.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory.
¿Qué haces, Sebas? Pensando en Deia.
See?
Que aún te debo la de ella, güey. A todo
Oranges
esto.
have decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives.
Mira, Yue.
What do you say to that?
Yue, esta victoria te la dedico a ti ante esta perra. Vas a ver.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Sí. De hecho, yo me acuerdo que la vez que gané, que participé en el torneo de Xenoverse, si gané, me acuerdo que la victoria te la dediqué a ti, Yue. Ahí lo tengo grabado en videoclip cuando dije eso. Pero eso fue hace casi 3 años.
Well, I
Sí, madréatela, tú puedes. Vamos a ver.
If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am?
Una niña caprichosa, no sé. Gracias, Ana. A ver, lo malo es que no es a putazos la pelea, es a diálogos. Y yo soy muy tímido para eso, me trabo al hablar, ¿sabes?
And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
Brujería. Bruja. ¿Qué hace que Farina sea tan especial? No relacionado esto. Pues yo creo que es lo Arlequino, ¿no? Imagino que esto. No, yo tenía 12, este mamón.
You may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case,
Me ando jala.
other ways
Sí,
to extend
güey.
your life.
No es cierto, es un chiste mal pensado. Esperando que partida y ya encontré una. Tardó mucho en encontrar partida cuando yo tenía 12. Pinche mamón, Falcón, para. Cierto, quise decir. No hay pedo.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neverlet?
Humana maldita.
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Ooh.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine.
Vean, ahí en el asiento de allá arriba ahí se suele sentar Furina, pero como es la acusada, ni modo.
One need
Le tocó
only
estar
to
aquí.
turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
Pues sería decirlo de Nova, ¿no? Lo que pasó con este men. Vean, aquí Furina no sabía por qué. Creo que sería esto.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof?
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
Boom, bitch, mátame esa.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me.
Del muro que vimos con Nobilé, ¿no?
It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
Entonces que salgan a la verga y que lo demuestren, ¿no?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium!
¿Cómo? Indemnitium.
Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Créeme que esa palabra de altruista solo sé qué significa por el chavo. Se los juro.
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
Ay, Furina.
Seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar.
Va a perder.
I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved.
El
Shouldn't
chavo.
you want to believe in me?
El chavo y sus memes. ¿Han visto los memes del chavo? Están bien cagados. Me acuerdo uno que decía, el viaje a Acapulco no es gratis, chavito. No tiene poder hidro. Está seca, pobrecita.
Please, you've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Espectador serio.
Did she deceive all
Reflexiva.
of us?
No
Our
mames.
parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors? Ever
since they were born?
Es que lo que el nombre que les ponen. Yo tengo unos más pasados de lanzadera. A ver, pasa.
Enough. That's enough.
Yo me acuerdo uno del Chavo y Kiko y de ahí se ve la sombra de un nepe nomás, no manches. Oye, no manches lo que le hicieron al chavo animado. A reflexionar.
Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon,
En el mural.
then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Déjate los paso cuando nos vayamos a mimir. Dale.
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now?
El muro que vimos con Nobilé.
Doesn't want to give up.
¿Dónde está? Esta. Ah, no. ¿Cómo? Ay, que puedes demostrar que Furina es humana. Ah, puta madre. No. Neta, no tenemos una prueba de cuando vimos el mural. Si en esa mural se veía el arconte hidro. Ay, no mames, pinche juego estúpido. Ay, yo tengo una prueba buenísima y no me dan esa opción. Si pudiéramos ir al mural y tomar una foto, al que vimos en el directo anterior, demostrar que es humana. No, este no es. Tampoco. No. No sé. No sé, la verdad.
That doesn't sound right.
A ver, es que... ¿Qué quieres que yo diga, Paimon? Esta tampoco tiene nada que ver. Esta ya... Esta ya la dijimos. Tal vez lo de Linney y el cómo lo acusó de manera... Tampoco. Me dicen, no. ¿Qué te dije? ¿Qué les dije? No, es que no sé, o sea, sí. ¿Qué puedo decir yo? A ver. Esto ya lo dije y no, esto no me deja. Pues lo de Basher, entonces. No. ¿Sí? ¿En serio lo de Basher?
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
¿Cómo? Insinúan que le echemos en el agua para que se disuelva.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Pero, ¿por qué lo de Bacheros? No lo puedo entender.
Sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn.
Nel, quémenla. No es cierto, no.
I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater?
A ver, si es la arconte hidro, técnicamente no se debería deshacer, ¿verdad?
If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Bueno, tiene sentido por lo de la profecía, lo que decía de que todos se iban a disolver menos ella. Pero pues la profecía dice que ella va a quedar. Eso debería demostrar que ella es la arconte, ¿no?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
No podemos hacerle firmar un contrato donde no nos pueden demandar a nosotros por literalmente haber asesinado a alguien. Bueno, de forma indirecta.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it. That could only mean...
What's going on? Is she really planning to... That's not what we thought she would...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Híjole. No, se va a disolver. Vaya.
I'm fine. Look at me, everyone. My hand is still here. I haven't been dissolved. Will you believe me now? I really am your archon. I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water.
Ay, Dios, perdóname. Que ayude.
Obvious thing in the world.
Miss Siegwin?
Yo no he dicho
If
nada.
you're present, Miss Siegwin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegwin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Pues ya ves, no le pasó nada. Eso demuestra que es el arconte.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegwin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Pero no se disolvió.
Thank you, Miss Siegwin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur,
Astutos.
we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness.
Es un manastuchitón, Falcon.
It's a great
No
thing that the
spoilers.
direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks. What happened just now didn't prove a single thing. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an archon can't also be affected by the primordial seawater?
Vamos por Najida y la aventamos al agua. Y digo Najida porque es la que está más cerquita.
Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water?
Pobrecita Najida, ¿se imaginan? Se disuelve y se vuelve una ramita, como nos dijo.
Anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your archon.
Las mentiras nunca dejan nada bueno, muchachos. Espectadora exasperada.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
Ni modo. Perdiste.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway her. She'll just too stacked against her now.
Loser. Bueno, pobrecito.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is...
guilty.
Guilty.
Madre mía. Siento, hijo, ya no te creo.
We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
¿Y se imaginan que la diga que es inocente ella? ¿Cinemática?
According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the oratrice's verdict?
No, the oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Ooh.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty.
Arconte hidro.
To be punished via the death sentence.
¡Ah, la mierda!
The death sentence?
Oh, la van a degollar, güey.
It's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
¿Cómo eso nunca había pasado? Acá en México la última persona que fue... que le declararon la pena de muerte creo que fue en los 70. Hace un montón. Aunque yo pienso que esa chingadera no debería existir para asustar a la gente.
It's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah, even
Bueno, jugó a ser Dios,
sentenced to death
¿saben?
by the oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Exacto, esto dice.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
¿Qué está pasando?
That the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
Y milagrosamente la encontró.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water.
En Colombia hubo una pena de muerte, pero solo se aplicó una vez y resultó que el hombre era inocente. No, no, güey, qué gacho.
But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late? Oh no. Father will be disappointed in me.
Recuerdo un poquito a Stevie de Malcolm, ¿se acuerdan? Es que habla así como muy pausado y muy tranquilo. Como le hablaba Stevie.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
¿Cómo que doña?
I'd like you to come here and confirm their contents.
¿Por qué doña, perro? Yo no estoy vieja, a mí me respetas.
So what do you see? What is it?
Cada día tengo más curvas y menos arrugas.
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember.
Usar las imágenes de las placas para extraer de ellas información clave. Entre los incidentes apuntados en el manual de entrevista encuentras estas relaciones con las imágenes de las placas para corroborar su veracidad. A ver, ¿cómo? Entre los incidentes apuntados en el manual de la entrevista encuentras situaciones relacionadas con las imágenes de las placas para corroborar su veracidad. El nivel del agua de la fuente de la interfaz aumentará conforme avance el progreso de corroboración. Cuando corrobores la veracidad de todas las placas se revelará la veracidad de la profecía. Vale.
What you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well.
Pues el agua de mar primigenio los convierte en oceánidas, ¿no?
The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them.
Celestia será un lugar que visitemos en el futuro. Yo creo que de aquí a 3 años, creo.
This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing?
Este juego tiene muchísima historia detrás, muchísima.
The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if.
¿Qué debo hacer? Los sucesos reales relacionados con la profecía. Ok. Su imagen aparece retratar al anterior arconte hidro usando poder divino, tras lo cual los seres se convirtieron en personas. Tal vez. No sé. A ver. Las palabras clave son las que están en azul. A ver. Su imagen parece retratar al anterior arconte hidro. Ok. Usamos poder divino, tras lo cual las seres se convirtieron en personas. La de Navia no es.
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontainians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And the first stone slate tells us that long ago the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontainians can dissolve.
O sea, la gente de Fontaine fue convertida en oceánidas y luego el agua del mar primigenio revierte eso y los convierte de oceánidas, no, de humanos a oceánidas de nuevo. Ok. Retrata a Celestia flotando en el cielo, el arconte hidro y su pueblo rodeados mientras la miran. Aún así parece que Celestia las castigó. Celestia. No sé. ¿Ustedes qué opinan? Retrata a Celestia flotando en el cielo y su pueblo rodeados mientras miran. Aún así parece que Celestia los castigó. A ver, una placa de piedra profética. Ok. No sé. No tengo idea. A ver. No sé. Ayúdenme, chicos. Tal vez... ¿esto? Nah. No tengo idea. La verdad no sé. ¿Esto?
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro-Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates.
Una sentencia que nunca había sido pronunciada en el tribunal, pero que ahora se ha impuesto al arconte Hidro. ¿Qué clase de pecado se merecía semejante veredicto? Retrata al arconte Hidro unidos en el mar, rodeado de muchas personas. Tal vez tenga que ver con lo de Navia. No lo sé, tú. O pues tal vez este. Puta madre.
It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro-Archon in the sea.
Ah, vaya, qué listo. Lo que pasó en Fontaine es lo de Caenria pero invertido. ¿Cómo? A ver, ¿cómo Falcon? A ver, ¿cómo? Lo que retrata coincide casi con la profecía de Fontaine. Al final, toda la gente en Fontaine se disolverá en el mar y solo quedará el arconte Hidro sentado en su trono divino mientras llora. Ya se leo muy rápido. Yo creo que tiene que ver, tal vez, con lo de Novelena, la entrada al mar primigenio y todo eso. Esto pasó en uno de los antiguos directos.
The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
Listo.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea, but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid. The Hydro-Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present.
Pero ¿cuál es?
This means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what.
Luego lo que pasó en Poisson.
The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truth should come to light.
Bien. Pero ¿cómo que lo que ocurre en Fontaine es lo de Caenria pero invertido, güey?
Oh, Paimon gets it now. So that's how you can make sense of it.
A ver.
But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro-Archon, with oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater. And how all the girls Vache dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
¿Por qué?
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably anchored Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
De humano a Girichurs. Ah, ya. Pero, pues Furina no hizo nada de eso. ¿Por qué se le inculpa de ello? Primero quería que la derrotaras por cómo era, pero quiero que la salves. Así que salva por el amor de Jesucristo. Yo la salvo, no se preocupen. Yue, ¿dónde estás? Ya te aburriste, ya te dormiste.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea?
Ah, somos nosotros juzgándola.
So
¿O cómo?
Trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Toda su gente se fue. Aquí estoy, mi amor, calma. Ay, es que no te veía, luego pedí ayuda y no me ayudaste. Pero no pasa nada.
Did Paimon get all that right?
Creo.
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
Es que no sé mucho de eso, nada, no hay pedo. Te entiendo, es que tú no estuviste en la historia desde el inicio. Pero ve, el Sebas estuvo y tampoco sabe nada. Nada, no es cierto. Y Falcon pues ya se jugó esto.
Did you get it?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you.
Ánimo, cinemática.
Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct.
La gente era oceánidas y el pecado fue haber creado gente mediante oceánidas.
In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon as one of the 7 did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life.
Yue está bien, Maxi, el FBI está con y quieren hablar contigo. Men, che Falco.
Not one to give in.
Ya párale.
She eventually
Muévele a mi
found a way to
cabecita.
create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, The Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing.
Vaya. Es como nosotros que dicen, polvo somos y en polvo nos convertiremos.
That's the truth. We can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
La profecía. Nel, es harina. Nos volveremos harina.
I think I'm following
Yo no
now.
lo dudo, yo sí.
So, what you're
Que es
saying is,
está hecha de
even though
harina
we
y de la
decided to
buena.
put
Es un
on this
panecito
trial to
dulce.
avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
Ahora sí que acabamos de cumplir el tercer paso de la profecía.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
Hijo de su puta madre, vamos a hacer lo que sea la puta profecía. No mames.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripedes. However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come.
Ay.
As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
¿Qué cosa? ¿La ballena?
This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
Tal vez lo de Tartaglia, lo de la ballena.
It was both dream and reality.
Un sueño y la realidad.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth,
Maldita
the original
ballena.
sin, the trial.
Son balazos más al de ahí ya llegó el F. Cállese. Yo soy levadura para la masa. Ahí se va. LOL. LOL, 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 LOL. LOL. La ballena, loco. Es el jugador ballena. ¿Pero qué es esa cosa exactamente? Parece que una ballena, ¿pero qué? ¿Por qué hace esto? ¡Tartaglia! ¡Loco! ¡Es Tartaglia! ¡Volvió! ¡Está vivo! ¡It's alive! sabía que no moriste. Tartaglia, tú sácale tu ballena, güey. ¿Que Tartaglia puede sacar una? Yo que me acuerdo. ¡Está vivo! ¡No! Dime, está en Geshi. No, Tartaglia, ¿qué le pasó? Se viene la ballena, chicos.
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance
A ver,
here.
¿por qué? ¿Por qué?
That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while.
What?
It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels.
Si la matamos, entonces dejará de crecer.
Once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
O sea, es mala la
You
ballena.
said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Se los quiere tragar, la hija de puta. Me puso los pelos de punta. Es que estuvo genial, ¿sabes? Llegamos de puro diálogo y llegó la pinche cinemática así.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist.
Ay, menos mal Falco no me hizo spoiler de que salía Tartaglia ahí. No más, me emocionó un montón. Y hubiera gritado, pero...
Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food.
Buen punto.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That
No
is
por
correct.
mucho.
Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
Como técnicamente Tartaglia no puede mantener mucho tiempo esa transformación, pero... quién sabe.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this.
O sea, sé que esa ballena gigante que él hacía tiene algo que ver con todo esto. ¡Loco! Es historia a largo plazo. Oye, eso mola. Oye, espera, ¿ese era Child? Sí, es Child. Pero transformado. ¿Te acuerdas cuando Nubilé no lo dejó transformarse? Esa es su forma transformada.
Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
Exacto. ¿Y saben quién hará eso?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit.
¿La Nifurina?
We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
No, claro que no.
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled.
Destino.
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
¿Pero dónde está Furina? What?
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
¿No le importó ni la ballena a ella? ¿En serio? Vaya.
I still need answers.
No manches. ¿Por qué no puedo pegar esos saltos? What the fuck? Tengo su tema Child Fest 3 en mi memoria de música para Xbox. Cuando juego y quiero cambiar la música de mis juegos. Ah, perro. Están chidos los temas de Genshin. Búscate el de Storm Terror, güey. Ese está bien chido. Tiene un coro. Tiene así como una... Ay, ¿cómo se le llama? ¿Cómo se le llama? Ay, ¿cómo se le llama a esos grupos? Tiene un coro cantado por una mujer y está genial. Así como... no sé, me gusta mucho. Pero antes empieza como una... ¿Ópera? Sí, una ópera. Ah. Patas. ¿Qué ha pasado? ¿Vos quién poronga sos? ¿Quién eres tú?
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Qué vagos son para hacer diseños nuevos a los arcontes viejos. Me acuerdo que en la historia anterior vimos a Najida, vimos a Rukadevata, o sea, la diosa que fue antes de Najida. Y literal era Najida, pero con otra voz y de otro color, me acuerdo.
Focalor, why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I'm the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe. Now does it?
¿O acaso es la madre? No, güey, es la anterior Arconte Hidro, a lo que tengo entendido. La que fue antes de Furina.
She knew full well
La que cometió el pecado original.
Surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in.
Oye, ahora que lo veo, se le ve parte del seno, pero está bien plana. Una planicie, Dios mío. Olvida lo que falta lore. Lo que dije, me falta lore, bro. No pasa nada, no te preocupes.
I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor.
No, esa era Heregia. Esta es Furina. Es una tabla aquí. A ver, ya no entendí.
Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, And not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans. I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to
bueno, es
clean
Focalors. Pero no se supone que Focalors es Furina. Ya no entendí yo nada, ¿sabes?
One can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
Ahí puedo planchar tu ropa, amor. No, un burro de plancha. No manches. Que está bien plana, Dios mío. Bueno, solo si tú me dejas jugar con mis autitos de carrera en tu cuerpo. Nada, no es cierto. Mis Hot Wheels. Hace mucho que no veo mis Hot Wheels, ¿sabes?
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known.
O sea, Furina también es una Oceanida, vaya.
After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she... Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass.
Furina es la parte humana de Focalors, lo que ella quiere ser. Es como algo así como lo de Zhongli y Morax, güey. Ya ves, Morax es Zhongli, pero acá en este caso son como dos personas distintas, pero son la misma realmente. Pero sí es así, ¿no? Ya ves lo de Zhongli, que él es Morax, pero dice, no, llámenme Zhongli, yo ya soy humano. Soy el mortal llamado Zhongli. O lo de Venti.
I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being.
Fortaleza mental.
I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Son dos personas distintas. Ok. Lo logro entender, ya lo entiendo un poco mejor. Raro, un poco raro. Enfoca la oscuridad humana con su imagen. Sí. Logro entenderlo. Vaya. Falcon dice que no hay retorno aún, ¿verdad, Falcon? Así que vamos a seguir. Voy a ver si me quedo hasta la 1:20, no sé. La verdad quería irme un poquito antes. Ya ves, Joe, ¿por qué te dije que iba a ser directo a las 9 o a las 10? Hubiera sido mejor. Yo creo que me voy a ir poniendo... Va. No. Intenté cambiar de personaje, pero no me deja. Ni modo. Vean, Furina, aquí yo la tengo. Furina. A mi ver, pues está la viajera, me cago en todo. Ay, no, eso ya lo leí.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask you to keep to the rules. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontainians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and nobility.
O sea, lo que me trata de decir es lo que está arriba. Lo che, perdón. Nada, tranqui, no pasa nada. Ah, me dio pistas, ¿no? Me imagino. Sí, justo esto. Ah.
Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not.
Largo.
The guards shall resolve it
puto.
soon enough.
No, la peonza no. Este es el que más gordo me cae.
Strike a pose.
Muere, peonza. Ay.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know.
Muérete.
Guards? Wait, where are the guards?
Ah, cuando les dije que aventaran a Gira a ver si se disuelve, era ella. Corre, gorda, corre. Gordita que viva. No, vaya. ¿Cinemática? Vale. No quiero verme al espejo, me veo gordo. Bueno, ayer fue a Coppel y pinches espejos me hacen sentir mal. Me veo más gordo de lo que realmente soy.
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Focalors.
Wait a moment. You're near me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad. Let's go with that.
Mirror me? What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
Ay, amor, ¿qué te he dicho? Te ves hermoso. No es que no es culpa mía, es culpa de los espejos del Coppel. Lo hacen ver a uno gordo.
What prophecy? Wait. I know. I think... I don't know why, but it's in my head somehow. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne.
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything clearly. The only thing I know for sure is this prophecy. Will it really come to pass?
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is no escaping it.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like them. What?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Escúpelo.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human, my ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role. That of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all hope will be lost.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending against humanity.
I'm still not sure I understand, but I'll try. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure and not grow old until your task ends. But I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial, and everyone will be saved.
A trial, huh? How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it.
Oh, qué bonito. ¿Cómo? Ah, se me olvidó que estos eran actos. Bueno, para los que no pagaron por el personaje, pues les viene bien esto. Al menos pueden presumir que lo usaron. Bueno, esto va para largo, pero para largo, Dios mío. No me imaginé que fuera a ser tan largo.
The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still don't know. Perhaps I should first try to act natural. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena de Fontaine, your new Archon.
Vaya, esquizofrenia es activada, ¿sabes?
In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all.
De hecho, ahora me acuerdo, Child aparece en los comerciales de MasterChef México. Uno de mis primeros acercamientos a Geisha en un tiempo en tus directos. No manches, ¿cómo? Te lo dije. Güey, es que se hace... No me imaginaba que de verdad fuera tan largo, ¿sabes?
The god of justice. I shall do all
Me falta mucho, Falcon.
to lead you into an age of fairness and justice.
Falcon, una pregunta. ¿Me falta mucho?
Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine. Okay,
Uy.
and next.
Bueno, se merece un aplauso. Yo me trabo mucho cuando expongo.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more assertive.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person, then?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
¿Qué? ¿Cómo que una hora? No mames.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake?
No, yo hablo para que me deje guardar partida.
If I get exposed here, there'll be no saving the people from the prophecy.
Oye, para que me deje guardar mi progreso, ¿cuánto me queda? Más o menos.
Right. Near me said that I just need to play the role of a god
Ya ves,
as
yo
humans imagine them to be.
Hubiera empezado 9:30.
Calm down, Verena. Think. What do the people want? How would they imagine a god to speak and act?
Si no, fíjense. Mi idea es... Paro directo, no se me guarda el progreso, pero justo antes de empezar directo, lo empiezo en la parte en la que nos quedamos. Puedo hacer eso también. No hay mucho problema con ello. Yo creo que a más tardar una 15, una 20 ya vamos parando ya.
Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all doubt. That is the character I'm fated to play.
Como les digo, no tengo problema con eso. Que justo antes de empezar directo, me ponga a avanzar todo. Para ya tenerlo listo y arrancar ya lo último. Sí, va a ser pesado para mí, pero yo creo que sería mejor para no irnos tan tarde. Yo quiero irme a mimir contigo, amor. Ya ves, me hubieras dejado empezar antes. No, pero tranqui. A ver, vamos a ver qué pasa.
Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule.
¿Qué es de la historia de cómo pasó todo?
I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this opera house, would the children of Fontaine follow them? Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to witness wondrous trials alongside my august self, here in this opera house.
Pero a ver, Falcon, dime cuánto me queda para poder guardar yo mi partida, güey.
You may consider my
Porfa,
previous
por favor.
act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere.
La neta, ojalá los de Hoyovers nunca vuelvan a hacer esto porque es horrible. En Inazuma, en Mondstadt, en Liyue, no había nada de esto. Y lo pusieron por primera vez en Sumeru y es horrible. Es horrible y ahorita lo estoy sintiendo y... No, no lo vuelvan a hacer.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking. I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful. Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to believe in it, heart and soul.
Yo quiero enfrentarme a la ballena.
So long as I, the archon Focalor, stand within the opera epiclese, so long as I stand before the oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world.
Caray, ¿verdad? Nicotor hacía esto. De hecho, hay que te dejan guardar en cualquier momento tu progreso, excepto en las cinemáticas, claro. Vaya. Sí. Esquizofrenia. Vamos. ¿Cuántos actos son? Ya puedo correr. Good. Falcon, habla, te necesito.
Here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now. Was I not just at the opera house in person? Leave these kinds of things to Neuvillette. Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you truly looking forward to?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things.
Ahí dijo algo que no puede salir. Está arriba el mensaje. Sí lo leí, pero o sea, me refiero en qué momento. O sea, que si justo después de estas cinemáticas me va a dejar guardar o no.
That's true. I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought, lady.
No need for fright. And do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now. Do your duties. The trial I await. It will come one day.
Ok. Bueno, no entendí nada de lo que dijo, la verdad. No le puse casi atención. Pero es parte de la historia de ella.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with you, and to bring your words back to him.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not hesitate to come and tell me. Going down to citizens' homes every so often, while not usual practice, should serve as a fine change of pace.
You're such a gentle and wise God. Thank you once again, on behalf of my son.
Parece ya los... Nomás este y yo creo que la cama y ya. Creo. Espero, ¿saben?
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, things still don't look good.
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to see how far your human wisdom would allow you to analyze it. All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass. Forget it. That's not something you need to worry about right now.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also trying to find a way to counter the rising water levels.
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective solution thus far.
Is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has reached the realm of the gods, after all. Still, their spirit is praiseworthy.
Bueno, todavía nos queda como una hora de historia. Pero al ritmo que vamos bastante lentillo. Nos queda 1 hora y 10 minutos de historia más o menos. Sí, ven. La cama. Es triste, ¿verdad? Está triste, ¿verdad? Bueno, yo estoy preocupándome más por si me va a dejar guardar o no. ¿Está cansada de no ser ella misma? Algo así.
But it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any voices of suspicion. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep going. And everyone will be saved.
Creo que la hora de entender un poquito.
Alright, Farina, don't think too hard about this. You need rest. Tomorrow's a new day.
No. ¿Cuántos son?
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back over scenes I've witnessed in person before.
Lady Farina, I've waited so long for this.
Indeed, my dear loyal
¿Tú no
citizen.
lo vimos ya?
This joyous moment is an honor for us both.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute.
Ay, ¿qué pasó? Si no, ya les dije qué podemos hacer.
I don't think I let anything slip today. I must show the people that there is nothing to worry about. I just don't know when these days will end. I feel utterly exhausted. Best to rest early today, too.
Déjame mirar, vamos a ver las mismas escenas. Una y otra y otra y otra. 182.375.
It's like a dream being able to speak with you up close like this. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria.
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a faithful believer. a descendant of a line most ardent.
Surely you exaggerate, Lady Farina. My lady?
What is it, good citizen?
Oh, are you crying?
Oh, really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters.
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh, Archon, I am honored to have witnessed it.
Dios mío.
Indeed.
Esto duró como durante 500 años.
So interminable. So lonely. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps the show must go on for hundreds more. I never imagined that it would have reached my limit. No. Perhaps I reached it long ago. Today I didn't even notice my own tears. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But would that not destroy all I've done so far? I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. But there's not even a sliver of hope that we might break the prophecy. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act. It is the only way to save Fontaine.
No me echarle una 20.
Please, mirror me. You have to succeed.
Ni yo. Farina ahí.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone, your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me.
I'm a witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... She's right. I could confide in her, couldn't? But if things don't play out as expected, the people of Fontaine will be the ones to pay the price. No, Farina. You shouldn't be selfish. But what if it's really alright? Farina, you've worked so hard for so long. Surely it would be okay to put yourself first for once. Just this once. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom you can confide your frustrations and sorrows. Surely it could not hurt.
Hoy vamos a llevar 3
If you let
horas.
this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never come by again. Think about it long and hard.
Estoy esperando que acabe la cinemática. También. Amor. Me imagino que ya tienes que despedirte, ¿verdad, Yue? Ay, perdóname, no contaba con esto.
I am Farina, the archon of Fontaine. Everything will surely get better. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until the curtains fall.
No, es que no contaba con que iba a ser tan largo, la verdad.
Fine.
A ver, yo creo... Te quedo debiendo lo de mimir juntos. Pero... Yo creo que sí, ya voy a acabar. Yo quiero hacer lo que Leia no le hizo a Chewie. Quiero darle un abrazo a...
So even Farina doesn't know the truth?
No ha acabado.
You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself.
A ver, vamos a despedirnos de Yue. Yue, descansa. Te queremos mucho todos aquí. Y gracias por pasarte también. Ahí te digo de una disculpa. No conté con que, digo, no contaba de verdad con que iba a ser tan largo. Falcon, ya, eso no ayuda, Falcon. Pero pues coño.
She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate.
Lo bueno es que pues, si se va a Yue no se va a perder mucho y lo puede ver luego si quiere.
It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
Buenas noches, Yue. Descansa, sueña lindo. Dios te bendiga. Para cualquier cosa, pues aquí estoy, aquí estamos todos nosotros, ¿va? Ánimo. Te quiero mucho. Ve a dormir. Yo también. Ya es hora de irme a dormir.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue.
Calma, mi amor, espero puedas terminar. Luego te mandaré el mensaje en Nigeva. Adiós, Falcon y Sebas. Ánimo, buenas noches, descansa. Eso es como se siente Farina. Sí.
I'm
Creo que me doy una
sure
idea.
you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber.
Eso es cierto.
It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
Bye, Yue. Te amo. Dios te me bendiga. Bonita noche. Ahí te mando mensaje después de acabar y también cuando me despierte. Ay, lo malo es que mañana tengo que salir, ir muy lejos.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
Fuck? ¿Cómo que la va a matar?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all part of your plan, then? both the trial and the sentence.
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose.
No lo hagan
Almost
de
all of
otra
it has
forma
now been
simple.
stored within the oratories.
Ya veremos, ya veremos.
But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia, and breaking through the institution that is the Seven.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Furina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
¿Cómo?
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign.
Oh.
And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. That should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, have shouldered the burden of this sin for far too long.
Aquí Neuvillette se vuelve el personaje más poderoso que podemos controlar. Bueno, me imagino que por lo que le devuelven el cargo, ¿no, Falcon?
Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land. When you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last. I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they feel.
Le gana en poder a cualquier arconte.
You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
Vaya, cinemática.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Chale, ¿por qué se fue Yue en un momento así? Está llorando. Cuando subió en el cielo, él llora.
Codex Nervalette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Qué bonita escena. Estuvo muy bonita. Pues Falcon no mentía, 3 horas.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something huge just happened.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened was good for us.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
But didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the primordial sea from that creature.
Güey, yo también estoy llorando. Güey, yo no estoy llorando. Y solo hay 3 momentos que me hicieron llorar. Otros tristes, pero solo estos 3 me hicieron llorar. ¿Estás llorando, güey? Chale. No, bro, no llores. Fuerza. Fuerza, mi bro. Yo no estoy llorando, pero digo, qué bonito momento. Estuvo bonito.
We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring narwhal.
Narval. Oye, el narval no es una ballena, pero había una leyenda del origen del narval que justo hablaba de que era una ballena.
Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
A ver, llorar, maldita sea llorar, autocorrector. No sé si me haga repetir toda la historia, pero chicos, yo creo que ya, a ver, si me meto directamente a la ballena me voy a salir. Así lo voy diciendo, me reinicio, ¿no? Yo me voy de aquí a la chingada. Hola, hola, hola. Ahora la música. El personaje más poderoso. Raúl. Hala, continuar el desafío, reducir la dificultad. Salir del dominio. Salir. Ahí está. A ver, no sé si me reinicie, pero yo ya por aquí voy parándole. La ballena será en el próximo directo, chicos. Así tal cual lo dejo. Si me hace repetir todo, sin pedos. Ah, no, vean. Ah, me deja salir. De puta madre. Un momento, ¿sí me deja? Obtén el sepa qué cosa. No entendí. Vale, pues me gustó, pero... demasiada cinemática, demasiado texto. Nunca me ha gustado eso de Genshin. Cuando me meten demasiado texto. Y me sobresaturan demasiado y no voy a mentir, me acaba doliendo un poco mi cabeza, la verdad. Wow, hubiera empezado directo media hora antes y así se hubiera quedado Yue. Ya sé, soy un poco pesado con eso. Perdónenme. Vale. Va a ser un poco rara esa grita si la vemos desde abajo. Qué baboso. A ver, Coño, ¿me escuchan? Chicos. Yo creo que aquí paro directo. A ver. Coño, quítalo. A ver, sé épico, no voy a mentir, es bastante épico. Luego la música. Yo creo que no voy a... Yo creo que no voy a empezar directo hasta... bueno, yo creo que no me meteré a Genshin hasta que empiece directo. Ya el directo de mañana será demasiado corto, creo yo. Creo que va a quedar muy corto. Intento ir a la ciudad. Si me reinicia... A ver, no debería, ¿por qué? O sea, me deja incluso hasta ponerle pausa. A ver. Ah, sí. Entonces no hay pedo. Wow. La verdad, chicos, muchas gracias. 3 horas de directo. No creo que sea el más largo. Creo que tengo otro más largo y creo que también es de Genshin. Es más, dejen checo. 2 horas... Sí, vean. 3 horas 43 minutos. Y fue de la historia de Fontaine, vean. Dios mío. Guay, si me pasé de verga. Vean. 3 horas 43 de directo. Bueno, este sería el segundo directo más largo de mi canal. ¿A quién le importa Junkichi? Yo quiero... Coño, vean. Entra en el mar primigenio con Nubilet. Tanto la Focalors que hay enfrente de Nubilet como la Furina que hay enfrente de ti están interpretando la misma pieza de ópera. La verdad, está oculta en ella. Buah, estuvo genial, la verdad, me gustó. Me encantó ver a Nobel. Está vivo, coño, está vivo. Sí, ahí. La verdad, chicos, gracias Evas, gracias Falcon por quedarse aquí. Falcon tenía razón. 3 horas batalla, maldición. Claro, batalla. Y yo quiero enfrentarme a la ballena. ¿Qué hiciste, men? Y me recuerda algo a la batalla contra Solaris. Es algo similar a una deidad. Aunque Solaris, no sé. Yo a Solaris yo lo veía. Era algo como muy épico. Que por cierto, milagro. Milagro, el primer boss semanal que no es Fatui. Porque el primer boss de Liyue fue un Fatui que era Tartaglia. El de Inazuma igual fue un Fatui que fue la Signora. Y el de Sumeru fue un Fatui que es Scaramouche. Y aquí milagro, el primer boss no fue un Fatui. Curioso, la verdad. Te lo dije, ya Falcon, tercera vez, ya. Pará, por favor. Nada más yo aquí ya paro. Ya no voy a jugar Genshin. Hasta mañana. Muchas gracias a Yue, a Sebas, a Falcon que se quedaron. Yue pues no pudo, tristemente. Pero les digo, ahí no se pierde mucho. Queda poquito. Nada más, chicos. Yo soy Máximo00. Mañana vamos a cazar ballenas. Mañana vamos a chingarnos a ballena. Que será 1 hora de directo. Será muy corto. creo yo. No sé si haga algo más en directo, yo creo que no. Nada más, chicos, yo soy Máximo00 y nos vemos en el siguiente directo de Genshin Impact, que será mañana. Ya acabaremos la historia de Fontaine. Y ya pues nos quedará, no sé, porque en su momento pues hicimos la historia de Scaramouche, porque era parte de la historia principal. No sé bien qué meterán aquí, pero tendremos la historia de Dainsleif en unos meses. Esa la vamos a jugar también en directo, como jugamos la de Cariberto, que nadie llegó a ese directo lamentablemente. Pero ahora sí, chicos, nos vemos, se cuidan, ya saben, síganme en Instagram si no lo hacen. Buenas noches, que la fuerza los acompañe. Ánimo, chicos, descansen. Esta batalla me encantó, como no lo puedes imaginar, y no hay que parar. Eso está en los panas. Sí, claro. Bueno, si quieren mañana intento el abismo en directo, que a ver, ya me lo pasé. De hecho, vean, 36 estrellas, lo tengo full. Pero si quieren intento, para que vean por qué les dije que a lo mejor lo traía en directo, que no lo he traído, de hecho. Podría hacerlo para extender un poco el directo de mañana, no lo dudo. Bueno, ahora sí ya, yo me despido. Nos vemos en la próxima. Chao, chao. Descansen, duerman bonito. Se les quiere mucho, chicos.